main photographic venture this month was probably going to Norway. Now, it wasn't purely to take photos. I was going with a group as part of a mission trip, and we were going to visit some churches over there. I needn't bore you with the details, but we headed off to Ålesund, a lovely area in the west of Norway.
Oh my gosh! Can we go help?
Now, if I had an editor, they'd be pretty upset and would be able to tell that I had other things on my mind instead of filming, as I returned with very little B-roll to go for this video. Instead, I have a healthy chunk of photos. These were all taken with my Sony a6300 with either the kit lens or my grandfather's old Canon 50mm 1.8 FD mount lens. Photographing in these conditions was certainly a new challenge. As someone who lives in quite a grey and green country, going to a place that was still so snowy and very bright at times, I had to adjust. When asking locals, a lot of them said the amount of snow was uncharacteristic for this time of year, and the days I had the best opportunity to take photos were generally bright, so more often than not I had ISO low, aperture high, and shutter quick, which tends to work best with the 50mm. On one of the nights, our group noticed some northern lights doing a little dance outside our accommodation. Most of them got some quick snaps on their phones and headed back inside, but after sticking out in the cold for a little over an hour, changing positions and trudging through knee-high snow, a select few of us, me included, got the chance to see the northern lights in quite a striking and clear way. I will say that the pictures do bring out the green in a stronger way than they appeared on the night, but it was still an awesome show. Now here comes the hairy part. When taking photos of this sort of thing, you gotta hike up that shutter speed, and as I was without a tripod at the time, I had no real means of stabilising my camera, so I used what was plentiful: the snow. As you can see, there was still quite a few trails from camera movement, but it worked pretty well. I had to brush the snow away from the camera body once I was done, but nothing too serious. The photos were still pretty solid. Well, lo and behold, the next day my main display was not working. I tried wiping the viewfinder sensor in the hopes it was just that was balked, but to no avail. And to further compound this issue, I also meddled through the menu and changed my display setting to monitor only and backed out like the dumbass I am. And as I had no external monitor and had clean HDMI feed turned on as well, I thought it was curtains for my Sony a6300. Thoughts of the eBay listing for parts. £20, a distressed hip in the background were cropping up, but after some blind menuing, I had the viewfinder working once again. That did mean I missed out on a day of photography for my Sony, and it was the one day we went to a viewpoint, but oh well. Plenty of friends in the group took pics, and even some of me for a change. Strangely, after bringing it back from Norway and hooking it up for a hotfix show, the monitor received new life. It was wonderful to bask in Norway's glory, and I really enjoyed taking photos out there, as well as giving my friend Karen some pointers on how to best take pics in different scenarios. You saw that tag back there. Go follow her Insta. As an aside, just last month I had also picked up a Pentax Zoom 105 Super from my local charity shop, an early birthday present from my mum. Didn't say all too much about the camera, as it pretty much does what it says on the tin. It's a 35mm camera that's got good zoom with some minimal but handy control that gives it a little edge over a traditional point and shoot. All monitored from a little screen up top. You can set timers, use manual shutter times, control the flash, as well as burst pics and double exposure. Those pics are still being processed, but I will probably post them somewhere in the near future. Now, on my way over to Norway, I knew that something would be waiting for me when I got back, and after going to the delivery office in town and coming in from the wet, I had this well-packed box. After a bit of a fight with a totally safely operated kitchen knife, is this thing used for bread? We were in. There was a slight bulge out of one of the sides of the box, but it was all bubble wrapped and I wasn't too worried. Now, the original listing for this package was as shown here. Sony camera bundle, FD Mavica 1.6, and a Cybershot Carl Zeiss Vario Tessar. All the pictures and descriptions suggested I'd be getting two cameras, the Mavica which I was most interested in, and a Cybershot. The eagle-eyed might have noticed an extra camera bag in the listing. What would it contain, or is it just an extra? I started off with the big bruised elephant in the box, the Sony FD Mavica. Why would one be excited about this big bulky thing? Well, this model is the FD92, so it took Sony's memory card pros as well as floppy disks. To my great relief, this one came with its own battery, so trusting it could still hold a charge, all I would need to get it up and running was a charger. I had some floppy disks coming on the way too. Moving closer to the mystery, this is a Cybershot DSC S40, 4.1 megapixels, Carl Zeiss optics, and it also took Sony's memory card pros. Interestingly, this one card had partnership written on it. Maybe it's a fortune camera. The description stated these as untested because of missing chargers, but I was pretty sure this Cybershot would run on AA batteries. Fortunately, it did, and this one came with some batteries. Although trying to turn it on resulted in a little jingle but nothing more, so I was ready to accept a loss on that one. There was also a slight red flag with the lens protection. It had either broken off or was always peeled back. Ah well. What surprise would the second camera bag bring us? It definitely had a little extra weight to it, so there had to be something in there. Well, it was another Cybershot. I pondered my luck and gave it the once over I'd given the last one, and yeah, partnership, had a lens protection and a strap, but no batteries. After the initial unboxing, I had this spread. Not horrific for just over £21, if all things worked. As I had some spare batteries with me, I could test the Cybershots. I started with the safe Cybershot with its protected lens, and baboom! It was working and welcomed me with the time and date settings. As you can see, after having no idea of my recording focus, I got everything set and was getting an image from the camera. It had menus, but you wouldn't be able to tell what they were, just the sort of things one would expect from a camera like this. Sony had us eating with this one though, with some menus having some fancy animations. Yeah, enough said really. Now for the little beaten guy. I audibly did not have my hopes up, but the batteries hadn't corroded and the connections looked fine, so after a quick battery bypass operation on the healthy camera, I let the batteries have a bounce and tried turning it on. Yep, this one lived too. Same everything pretty much, but I think we've waited long enough. Here's a video test. This is a video test, both of the in-camera microphone and everything else. Ooh, some lovely batteries. I really have no idea how well this will do, but as you can see, very messy setup here. This is my face, how horrible. I imagine this resolution will be dreadful, especially if I haven't changed the settings. We will maybe try that in a second, but it's looking kind of crisp on the screen. These are kind of neat. Nothing else particularly special to report on other than finding some color temperature settings and filters, and that was that. I had to stay waiting for the Mavica extras. The next day, I was rudely awoken an hour earlier than normal, as the clocks had gone back and gone forward, you idiot. The next day, I was rudely awoken an hour earlier than normal as the clocks had gone forward, and after the previous day of writing up a script that you've just heard the most of, I knew I should spend my afternoon getting out and taking some snaps. Although prepared just to fly solo, my housemate also wanted to join me, and in the process, he became an unsuspecting model as we ventured over to Port Rush. Some of these pics I went a little lazy on editing, as I was just testing out how well my grades from the Norway trip would transfer over. I'm still content with what I've picked up and edited, and a little shout out to this couple who said their yes to each other and added some bling to their ring fingers. We didn't go for the walk that I was hoping, but after coming back and chilling for a few hours, the day was still light. Before getting any food, I thought I'd roll out to enjoy the extra hour of sun this time to Port Stewart.
See my speed. I can't see my speed. Gonna have to work out a better way of doing this.
After setting up halfway down the cliffside and realising just how squishy the ground was, I manoeuvred down to the rocks at the shore and propped up my rickety tripod. Starting with the old Canon and moving to the kit lens, I whacked a 16 to 50mm to an f/22 and let the shutter stay open for about 5 to 20 seconds at a time at various spots, resulting in some very dreamy images of the water. few odd looks from passers-by as I headed back to my car, and I headed back home to reconvene with my housemate for some Mackies. I didn't expect much from this day. I'd sent my film from Norway the day before and knew I was waiting on my Mavica charger to come through. I headed out to Limavady with a couple of pals whilst keeping a loose eye on some medium format camera listings. For those who don't know, up to this point I've been talking about film cameras that use 35mm. That number refers to this. All this to say, I set my initial maximum to about £80, which rose to £100, with the final bid landing at a nice round number of 15,000 yen. Just as nice, £97.50. Operation not confirmed, but it was something I was willing to risk, with the knowledge the price would likely extend to £120 or so with shipping included and import tax. But I'm optimistic for this guy. Hopefully it will be worth the ache of getting it over from Japan. Before heading out of Limavady, I swung by a charity shop that I'd visited earlier on in the day, as they'd managed to dig out some cameras after asking earlier on about them. Two of the four present were in a very sorry condition, so without googling much, I found this Fujifilm Photonex 250 Zoom. By all accounts, a really nice, sleek and low profile camera, but it took APS film. What does that mean? The short of it is it did not last long, and as far as I know, film is no longer being produced for the format, but instead being sold for a bit on second-hand sites. Camera seems in good working condition, might take it out for a spin if I can find film. And that was my March. Thank you so much for watching. This channel is very much new. I don't really know what's going to happen with it, but I'm just going to try things out. If you enjoyed that, please stay followed and see what's about to come. Because it hasn't got here on time, we are going to be having a look at the Mavica and what that looks like. This is an old PC. We're going to be having a look at it through there, and here are some floppy disks. So that video will be its own separate thing. Stay tuned in to see when that is, and who knows what will happen next month. Who knows whether I'll even get that medium format camera next month. I'm hoping I will. Not holding my breath. But yes, do please stick around and have a look at where my photos are. I will put them in the description below. Have a God bless.